Think rhythm, not balance. Hey, welcome to the Unfinished Leadership Podcast. It's called Unfinished because the person that's doing the speaking right now, this guy, I am unfinished. Been leading for a long time, but leadership is a practice. Leadership is a practice, meaning you and I that are leading, we're never done getting better. We're never done learning from others. With enough humility and enough curiosity and enough practice, you and I can get better at this thing that we call leadership. And oftentimes when I talk to leaders, they talk to me about balance. And whenever I hear balance, I'm like, no. Stop thinking balance, think rhythm. So I want you to just picture, maybe it's a dance floor. Maybe that last wedding you were at. You saw a couple out there on the dance floor perhaps, and there was just like poetry in motion, this rhythm that they had together. This is what our life is meant to look like. A life in leadership that's lived in rhythm. Balance, I believe, if you aim at it, you're just going to get mediocrity. You're just going to get frustration. And I actually believe you're going to get burnt out. One of the things about aiming at balance is you never really feel like you're winning. Wherever you're at, you feel guilty that you're there and not somewhere else. And what balance ends up doing too is it kind of disintegrates us in a way that we feel so separated and kind of have these containers, so many different containers in our life. And it's like, I'm not quite sure that's how life is meant to be lived. In fact, the Hebrew understanding in the Bible is that we are a whole integrated person. And so we need to think rhythm. Wherever you are, be fully there and be in rhythm. Be in rhythm. And so that's what we're going to talk about on this episode. Whenever you hear balance, I hope you would say to somebody, hey, how about rhythm instead? I've got some books to draw your attention to. This is my stack. This is a little ridiculous, but here's my stack on rhythm. And so let me just kind of go through these real quick. The 7 Primal Questions. Have you heard about this book? This is an amazing book from Mike Foster, and it really gets at what is the primal question that you're asking. The reason this is important is because one of the many times, I know at least in my life, that I feel as though like I am absolutely on empty. I'm burning it at both ends. I'm not paying attention to what that primal question is specifically. I'm not turning to God to allow him to answer that question. So do you know what question you're asking? Great book. I referenced this book last episode, Anti-Burnout, from my good friend, Alan Briggs. He has written a lot not on balance, but on rhythm. And this is a great book. He's also a great coach. If you're looking for a coach, I'd recommend you working with Alan. And Wayne Cordero, The Divine Mentor, great book. I've got to spend a little bit of time with Wayne years ago because he wrote another book called Leading on Empty. And that is an incredible book. Wayne he's a rock star leader. He's burnt out twice, like absolute dunzo twice in his leadership life. He had to take really extended times off of work, just totally wrecked himself. And so I remember as a young leader hearing him when he came to speak at Willow and then at Exponential Conference, he was talking about what he has learned from this. Ruth Haley Barton, this is one of the best books on your soul, strengthening the soul of leadership. I know this is ridiculous. I'm giving you like 100 books. All right, here's the last one. John Ortberg, Soul Keeping. That for me is an annual read. I think John Ortberg is one of the best authors, especially when it comes to just the soul, and Soul Keeping is an outstanding book. Sorry for giving you so many books. Don't try to have a balanced attack at that. Keep in rhythm. And so maybe just pick one of those books to go a little bit deeper on this. We're talking about rhythm, not balance. I don't know what you're leading, but I know you're leading. And I know oftentimes we feel guilty with wherever we are, and we feel like we need to be somewhere else. And so we never feel as though we are fully present. We need to be in rhythm instead. And here's what I came across a number of years ago. A mentor of mine back in the day, Mike Bro, he was actually my chaplain at the University of Kentucky when I played baseball there. Amazing pastor and great communicator. And Mike said to me a long time ago, he said, here it is, divert daily, withdraw weekly, abandon annually. And so what I want to give you on this podcast today is I want to give you a framework, and then I'm going to give you a couple more things, but let's start first with this framework. How do you and I live in rhythm? What does this kind of life of rhythm look like? Well, to me, that's one of the best frameworks I've ever come across. Divert daily. Let's break it down. We need to be doing something every single day that helps you and I divert from the cadence of our culture. You guys know it. I was up dark and early like every morning, and I feel the demand, I feel the pressure, I feel so much that's expected of me every day, and pressure is a privilege. I've talked a lot about that. I'm not complaining about it. But what I need to do every single day is I got to get in rhythm. Man, I got to make sure that I am integrated, body, soul, spirit, mind, aligned with God, making sure that I'm going to move my life to the rhythm of what Eugene Peterson once said is the unforced rhythms of grace. One of my favorite lines, the way that he interpreted those words of Jesus, come to me, all who are weary. There's a lot of you watching this podcast, listening to this podcast. You're weary. This is part of leadership. This doesn't make you a bad leader. Leadership is hard. We've talked before about pain and leadership and how difficult leadership is. And if you're weary, hear those words of Jesus. Come to me, all who are weary. And the way that Peterson says is, and learn the unforced rhythms of grace. There is a rhythm. There is a cadence of the kingdom of God that is one that you and I need to discover. How do we do it? Well, we divert daily. What I do every day is something called a wonder walk. Guys, I am so far from having this rhythm thing mastered. Leadership is a practice, but this is what I do every day. I go on a 30 to 45 minute prayer walk. I call it a wonder walk. No technology. I'm not listening to a podcast at 2x. I'm not answering voicemails. I'm not doing any of that. I'm learning again the unforced rhythms of grace. I'm operating at God's speed. A Japanese theologian, I can't remember his name right now off the top of my head, but he said Godspeed. That's the speed at which two people walk together. It's 3 miles an hour. It's the speed at which two people can walk together and have a conversation. Imagine how you could rediscover rhythm by walking with God every day. If you're leading something, guys, we need to divert daily. If you're a human being, you need to be reminded that you're a human being, not just a human doing. And so what do? We divert daily. Next, we withdraw weekly. Withdraw weekly. This is a day or a half a day every single week that's different than the rest. The Bible calls it a Sabbath. And what we see revealed in the scripture is the way that God created this whole thing, this rhythm, is that you and I would work from rest instead of resting from work. What we often do, I'll admit it first, is, we will rise and grind. You guys know all the sayings, and we'll just crush all day. And we then collapse into bed. And that's partly reality. If you're leading something, I get it. But how often do you and I, the only rest that we know is when we're resting from work? And yet, when we understand the Hebrew calendar, they worked from a place of rest. And so the Sabbath is really important to understand. For me, this is Fridays, and I'm not batting 1,000 at this, but it's something that's on my mind. It's in my calendar. And the weeks that I miss, the weeks that I do not withdraw weekly on Fridays, oh my goodness, I feel it. I feel like I'm that person on the dance floor that has 2 left feet. You're just like, bro, I hear the music, but I can't quite get my feet to operate in rhythm. Man, this withdrawing weekly is so important. And one of the hardest things for me, guys, is it scares me. I'm like, if I withdraw, I'm going to let people down. If I withdraw, I'm not going to get stuff done. Because so much of what's happening, right, is we are just being formed into the cadence of the culture. This is why John Tyson calls spiritual practice counterformation. So important for you and I to rediscover and relearn daily, but also weekly, the unforced rhythms of grace. What are we doing? Well, we're talking about rhythm today, not balance, but rhythm. How do we discover rhythm? Well, we divert daily. Go on a wonder walk. In the Stay Ready Journal, this is a journal that I created a couple years ago. We've had a couple thousand people go through it. We've been out of stock, but right now we are back in stock. And so if you're watching this at the end of March in 2026, we are back in stock. Unfinishedleadership.com. You can order your journal, order a bunch. But what that is it's a 50-day guide to growth. This is how I live my life. I go through, talk about rhythm, 4 of these a year. There's 5 daily habits with Stay Ready, and one of those is to do that wonder walk. And it's just so important. And so this is what we're doing. We're going to divert daily. Could be that wonder walk, could be chair time. It could be you sitting for 30 minutes and looking outside your office window. I'm not sure what it is. Divert daily, withdraw weekly. God made the Sabbath for you, not for him. It's one of the greatest exercises of true faith and ruthless trust in God when we have a day that looks different than every other day. If you're married, let's do all that we can to serve our spouse and help our spouse win when it comes to withdrawing weekly. Right before I hit record on this podcast, one of the guys that I coach, super successful business leader, owns a bunch of companies, total stud. He just texted me, hey, pray for me. I'm on my quarterly retreat. And so this kind of gets into this next one, abandon annually. You know, for Deli, it's quarterly, this guy that I'm talking about. But what can you and I do annually or maybe even quarterly that really helps us, again, rediscover and relearn these unforced rhythms of grace? For Deli, it's a quarterly silent retreat. And he and I have talked a lot about that. For me, it's every July, I do a study break. I preach a lot, so just about every weekend, I'm speaking somewhere, usually at Mission Church, which is my favorite church to be at, and it's a lot. Every sermon I give is about 20 to 30 hours of prep. A good rule of thumb for public speaking, some of you are getting into public speaking, is 1 hour of prep per minute of speaking. That's the rule of thumb. Some of you are like, I guess I don't really want to go into public speaking. Yeah, it's not easy. It's a lot of work. It's wonderful, but it's a lot of work. And so I get absolutely worn out. I get to this place every April, May. So I'm getting close right now where I am sick and tired of hearing my voice. And I am just so ready to get a break. A mentor years ago said to me, hey, you need to do a study break every July. No microphone, no speaking. You just need to do a long soak, like an Epsom salt bath for your soul. Long soak where you're not tearing through books that you then have to turn into a sermon every, for me, 5 days because we have a Saturday night service. And so that's coming up for me. We're just about, I know it's only March, but it does feel like it's around the corner. Every July where I do this study break, I abandon annually, very hard to get a hold of with my family. Just some great extended time with Kelly and the girls. And so what are we talking about? We're talking about rhythm. Some of you have been aiming at balance and you're wondering, man, something feels off. Well, it's because we need to aim at rhythm. How do we do that? Divert daily, withdraw weekly, abandon annually. I want to give you one more thing to kind of think through. Maybe those 3 really help. Another thing to think through, I heard this from John and Dave Ferguson years ago. They call it the RPMs, relational, physical, mental, spiritual. This is a way for you to maybe evaluate. Are you in rhythm? Well, how would I even know? Well, evaluate rhythm in those 4 domains of life. Of course, we're meant to be an integrated person, but think through your relational world. Think through your physical world. Are you in rhythm there, mentally and then spiritually? I found that kind of those 4 filters really helpful for me to kind of discern how am I actually doing. Last thing I want to say is this. It was a number of years ago, a mentor pastor that me and some guys were meeting with, he wrote this book on rhythm. And he asked us a question. He said, hey, in mountaineering, do you think more accidents happen on the way up or the way down? And we kind of thought about it. And my instinct was, I'm like, it's definitely on the way up. That's when you're scaling, you're trying to get to the summit and all this different thing. And he said, actually, it's not on the way up. He said, the majority of accidents in mountaineering happen on the way down. And he's been a leader for many years. He then went on to talk about be very careful on the other side of a project. Burnout, total exhaustion, fatigue to the degree that damage is done. Doesn't happen on the way up a lot, happens on the way down. And so right now, if you're on the way up, wouldn't it be a great idea for you to build in some systems or even a plan for you to make sure that you care for your soul on the way down? On the way down, adrenaline has dumped, your ankles get wobbly, your legs are absolutely fried, and falls happen. And if you have fallen, that doesn't mean it's the end, but I hope this could be encouraging for those of us that are on the way up with a project right now. We need to be mindful and a few steps ahead to think about what kind of replenishment rhythm can I put in place for the way down, because that's actually when a lot of damage is done. I hope today was helpful for you. Hey, it would be a huge gift to me if you would rate this and review it. That'd be awesome. And I bet there's one leader in your life that could be encouraged with today's episode. This is Unfinished Leadership. We are unfinished. This is what we're agreeing with every single time. So send this to a friend of yours. Send this to a colleague and say, hey, maybe you've been thinking about balance. Think about rhythm. Let's have a conversation on what might it look like for us to actually get into better rhythm as fellow leaders. You can head to unfinishedleadership.com to check out the episode guide. You can grab a journal. You can grab one of the hats on there, whatever you need. But I'm so thrilled that I get to serve you guys in this capacity. Again, I say it every single time. Grace is a gift, but growth is a choice. May you and I continue to choose every single day to grow. Consecrate yourselves today, for tomorrow the Lord is going to do amazing things. So may you find your rhythm, fellow leader. And as you do, find your rhythm for the good of everyone around you and for the glory of God. We'll see you guys next month.